Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? Better Than Your Average is the channel, and the movement How Did We Get Here is the show. Welcome back, y'all. Again, I'm your host, Jay Carter, and my man that has always heard and never seen, Skeens.
In the background, man.
You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of people have been really questioning me about you not being on camera.
Somewhere.
Yeah, so maybe coming to a theater near you, but don't hold your breath. You know what I mean?
Hey, one of these days.
Maybe one of these days.
I'm sure with my back turned.
So, well, the funny part is that a friend of ours, he was doing some artwork for us, and he had me in the artwork. Of course, he didn't have you. And I was like, "Yo, can you do him with no face?" He was like, "Yeah, I could, but."
It was, matter of fact, it was like one of those guy from Buffalo, that rap, Conway.
Oh, yeah.
He had one of his album cover with like a blurry face. I said, that's perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in again. Appreciate you guys checking out the last episode with my pops. I got a lot of positive feedback on that, and it was a real good conversation with him.
What up, Carter?
And he will be back because he was like ultra. He started getting into his bag like later, but he really he was nervous. So
yeah, at first, then he started feeling himself.
Again, guys, this is one of the most organic. We try to keep it organic shows ever. We don't do a lot of pre-production. I mean, it's just a conversation, man. Conversations that we have all the time. So for those of you out there, I've had people that I'm like, I'm gonna have you on it. What exactly are we gonna? We have a basic topic, but other than that, we want the conversation to be. We don't know. We don't know what we're really gonna talk about right now. But still, we here. I hope everybody's quarantine is still is going well. These numbers and things like that are increasing and spiking, and of course, there's controversy and skepticism about exactly the numbers and stuff like that. But do your due diligence still. You know what I'm saying, and take care of you and your family. So I hope all is well with that, man. But I was sitting and talking with my pop and Dub the other day, and we talked about it, early on in this. I don't have an issue, I don't get cabin fever. I don't have any of that.
Not at all.
I am not moved. I like being at home. You know what I'm saying? I like being with my family. So not much of that really moves me and stuff like that. So
people really having panic attacks about
what I mean, and again, the whole mental health thing, man. So I don't. We can't sneeze as that. But, yeah. Some people have really, been having an issue. And I get it because everybody's different. And I'm not saying everybody got to be like me and Skeens or ridiculing you if you're not. But yeah, that's rough. That some people are really having a tough time with it. So,
but also part of that constant going.
Mm-hmm.
Some people probably run away from themselves.
Well, that is. I mean, and like I said, we talked about that early on. Is that this time is going to force you to have to. One of my a guy that was one of my pastors over the years. He's talking about how this is the time to press in and press into your relationship as far as God, but it's also pressing into your relationships with people. But we've had all these distractions and stuff that.
Yeah, you never know who you are.
Right, and you don't have to do that mental homework, so to speak, and take mental inventory and stock of what's going on with you because you got all these other distractions and excuses, and now some of that has been removed and eliminated. But I wanted to ask you, man, because you the sports guru in the family, man. What do you think about this Patrick Mahomes Scrooge McDuck paper that he got?
Bless him. In the words of our boy Kuma.
Bless him, King. Bless him, King.
Kuma's from the island, so.
Yeah.
But man,
yeah,
that's crazy money.
When I saw it, I was like, "Is this real?"
And the fact is he's only 24. And then we start breaking down those contracts when it comes to NFL. Usually a lot of those guys renegotiate the last 2 to 3 years, even when they sign like 5 and 6 year deals.
Right.
Usually the last 2 or 3 years they start trying to renegotiate. Even Zeke contract, he was still on his rookie deal. He still had like 2 years left and he was renegotiating. So if you're saying Mahomes off a 10-year contract, you say he may start renegotiation 3, maybe 4 years in advance because of the length of that contract. Mm-hmm. And you saying he can re-up for even more money.
That's wild, man. That's wild.
I mean, but yeah, to be 24
and you are set.
With that kind of money, I hope he has great guidance. But his dad played baseball, so he had,
right.
He's somewhat grounded, in terms of financial responsibility. Well, understanding, being used to having some form of being affluent. Mm-hmm. Not to that extent, but he's still used to having some form of money in his pocket. Yeah, so it's a little different coming from the projects.
Right. Yeah.
You have a shut-off notice today.
Yeah. That's different.
Then the next, you bath them with dish detergent.
Right.
And we ain't talking the liquid. We talking the powder.
Granules, powder.
to the next week, and you able to drive a Maybach. That's a totally different mindset.
$400 million.
And then with the incentives up to 503.
That's crazy. That's generational money, like for real.
Yeah. So the whole thing is, hopefully he does right by his money.
Is there hasn't been a deal like that?
Nowhere near. I
in
mean,
the
like,
NFL.
because you look right now, like,
nobody really wants to commit that long.
No.
To somebody.
And thing like with the NFL, when you look at these non-guaranteed contracts,
right?
A lot of the players want that guaranteed money, or some of them, if you look at like the NBA, they want these shorter contracts. That way they can go back and re-up, because every so many years, those different sports entities are having renegotiation with the TV. So those TV deals increase. Mm-hmm. So that means that the salary cap is gonna alter with that increase of money. So when the salary cap comes up, you want to be able to re-up again. Look how we were talking about Pippen.
Right.
When they had that horrible deal.
Terrible.
But at that time, the TV money wasn't the same.
No, nowhere near like it is now.
And he was looking at long term. Say, hey, I want to get myself. One, he didn't really believe in his health, but also he was looking at long term for his family. Hindsight being 2020, if he would have known that the money would have continued to grow to the point that it did, I'm pretty sure he probably would only did like a 3-year deal and been ready to re-up again when those salary caps like was some kind of crazy. People forget about like Juwan Howard. He had a crazy contract.
Still, I forgot. I was looking at a list recently, and he's still in
he had a crazy and Juwan. As much as I love Juwan, Fab Five, I love him. Black Sox, I rock mine.
Right.
But Juwan wasn't worth the money that they was giving, because Miami Heat had originally signed that contract. It was like for $120 for like 5 years, and back then that was crazy.
Crazy money.
And then Washington came around and matched it. Juwan at that time wasn't even the best player on his team because Chris Webber was there.
Webb was there. Mm-hmm.
And Juwan, once again, love him. He wasn't even. You could argue Juwan wasn't a top 10 power forward.
I never looked up Juwan's
I love
career stats.
You got to think this is when power forwards were power forwards.
Right.
You had the Davis. You had KG. Brothers. You had C Webb.
Right.
You had Rasheed Wallace, KG. A lot of people forget Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman probably one of the most talented power forwards ever. Like, he was like one of the first big men that was 6'10", 6'11", that was handling the ball, left hand shooting jump shot.
Man, but his
motor wasn't the greatest, and sometimes people said he may have had some attitude issues.
Yep.
But yeah, it was some great power forwards back then.
Speaking of NBA, if you were in the league right now, would you be playing? Or would you be against playing right now?
Well, it's different things when you have to break that down. Like, from a straight up playing perspective, as long as your health is not compromised, I'm playing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you have a lot of people, which I understand. They're saying from the social justice issues, they don't want to take away from it that because of they think going back playing again will kind of diminish what's going on. I get that. But at the same time, the NBA, unlike the NFL and some other sports, have never really silenced their players. More of anything, they've always empowered the players. Look at LeBron when they had the "I Can't Breathe" shirts.
Right.
They are big on brand with the players, so they want the players being the forefront.
Right.
They've always looked for different ways to try to implement different ways that allow their players to have individuality. Look at the dress.
Right.
Westbrook.
Right.
James Harden.
Westbrook.
I mean, some of the gear that these people wear. I mean, that this shows that the league is allowing them to really be who they want to be. So part of the movement also requires, if you're saying from there is a form of finance that's required.
Right.
So let's not act like we don't take finance off the table.
Right.
But in the same time, what's a bigger way for me to use my voice? I can play as well as knowing that the NBA is going to back me with these different speeches and different things like that. As well, I can use my platform on ESPN,
yes,
ABC,
yes, so
and
on, so
whatever so forth to actually, hey, during commercial breaks, you can talk. During press conference, you can talk.
Right.
You can have your own commercial.
Yeah.
So do you have big platform to actually allow people to see you and to know that you're part of the movement? Look what the whole unfortunate J. Cole thing. When No Name was saying J. Cole was well, she didn't call him by name, but she was saying where some of these people were at. And, we all go off the wordplay. You didn't call that person name. A lot of times we know who people are referring to. Those people was out on the front line, marching and doing so and so forth.
Right.
But because they wasn't on that big platform giving the music, that you didn't really see their contribution. So so my contribution is not limited by the size of my platform.
Well, I think for some reason that this notion that you can't do both is, I mean, people have been doing both for a long time. You know
Also,
what I mean?
bro, let's keep it real. Where has a lot of these players been over the years? Now, one thing we can say, LeBron has been in the forefront, marching.
Has been the leader, yeah.
And now you have players that want to go on the other end, Kyrie and some other players. Well, I don't think that we should. I think we should sit out. Where were you all before Floyd?
Right.
Because it was a lot of things before that.
Valid question.
Other than the Miami Heat, they was very big. The WNBA has really did more work than the NBA.
Right.
In terms of really speaking for injustices and different things like the WNBA. Look at Maya Moore. She put her career on hold.
Yes.
To help a man get off, and they just found out found him not guilty.
Yeah.
She sit down 2 years, and Maya Moore at that time was probably top 3.
Yeah, she was
WNBA. She was a beast.
Yeah, she's a beast.
So she really put her money where her mouth was. She put her career on hold in her prime.
Yes. Yeah.
So you got a lot of guys that's talking about this and that now, and then you see some of them, and I can't really knock them, that are not coming back because some of them are saying health issues for the kids and other things.
Right.
I get that.
Yep.
But I don't want these people. Don't hide, and it's not really hiding behind your kid. If your main objective was, I don't want to play because I want to continue to protest, but then use I'm not playing because of health concerns for my kid, it's a cop out. Because that what it seemed like a lot of players were doing, was some of those players that was against it were doing. They wasn't coming. The first thing that they were saying wasn't that, hey, I don't want to play because I'm concerned for my kids or the health concern. If that was the first thing they would have said, people would have got, you said, okay, I got it.
Right.
But don't say that, well, I want to be a part of the movement. But then you teetering back and forth. That, well, I don't want to play because of health concern for my kid. If you gonna man up about it, just be a man. Say this is the reason why I'm not coming back.
And that takes me talking about everything that's going on. I was sitting with some fam the other day, and I don't know why the question, and you know me, the question just popped in my head. and it's it was all black folks there. But I asked the question, what do you expect from white people, right? And somebody answered the question and said, well, right now I expect the worst of them. Now, for me, I told person, I said that I am challenged by that way of thinking, right? Because it's no different than when people see negativity in African American people and then say, well, I expect that of all of them.
Yeah. You can't dish out to others that you don't want to receive yourself.
Right.
Which we do see. Speaking of perfect segue, we haven't talked about it.
Okay.
Work schedule and everything.
Yep.
I think a couple days ago.
Okay.
It may have been the 4th of July. No, it wasn't the 4th. It was like late last week.
Okay.
Right. We at work, and and pretty much everybody that day were people of color, whether they're black or Hispanic.
Right. Got you.
One of the guys was helping a white woman, and a couple of the girls was talking about the Karens.
Okay.
Oh, this Karen did this, and she did, and now this is one of these moments I was doing something else. Now, right or wrong, still customer service in terms of what you're dealing with.
Yep.
They're talking about the Karens. I'll take it back. We have one girl that she's Caucasian, but she has a black boyfriend, kids in her, but everything,
Gotcha.
I guess they don't really look at her that way.
Okay, I got you.
And they having a whole Karen discussion. One, it's a customer that's not that far. Now, whether the customer knew it or not, everybody in this building, like I said, I'm gonna exclude her.
Okay.
Knows this discussion. So I'm doing some other stuff, and they talking about the Karen, she this and that, and then I was doing something, and I like looked at them, I'm like, yo, y'all tripping.
Right.
Now this is if you're gonna have the discussion when there's no customer, and there's only one customer there. Okay. No CDC, we kind of keeping people at bay, 1 for 1 or whatever, keeping it limited. And I gave him that fatherly look, like, yo. And then one of the girls tried to clear it up. Well, no, Karen is anybody who gets in other people's business. And the other girl, it ain't just everybody. And I gave it a yank.
Right.
Come holler at me.
Yeah. Right.
Now, whether that woman knew the whole terminology and all that other stuff, I felt uncomfortable as a black man, and even me and all the guys we felt an uncomfort with that talk.
Okay.
Because it shouldn't have been it shouldn't have been said in front of other people.
Right.
But I'm looking at it from the lens of I don't want anyone to racially profile me or say anything. That's like I remember some years ago, University of Arkansas, when Nolan Richardson was suing them for racial discrimination. He said Broyles, at that time was the AD, called him a tar baby.
Oh wow, okay.
Now they said I didn't know tar baby is considered racist. Anybody within our community know what that means when someone calls you a tar baby,
right?
As well as they did.
Yep.
So to actually enforce that type of racism upon someone else, and the woman was really cool, very nice woman, and I told him, I said, look here, if she was to go up the chain, and the only thing she had to do was Google Karen,
right?
If she would have stood up the chain, look here,
right?
I'm not I ain't gonna push you off the boat.
Right.
But I'm not throwing a raft.
Right. And it's really a conversation of, and my sister, she's gonna hear this because we were having a conversation, and what I was trying to convey to her, my opinion. She has her opinion, and I get it. There's some validity to what she was saying, and I'm not negating how she felt. But what I was trying to convey to her is that my job, I take it as I move on this earth, is I have to be always moving above what other folks is doing.
Yeah.
Again, Bishop always gave us, roughly he used to say something. I'm above the common fray of everyday negativity.
Yeah.
I'm above it. I'm above it. And although there are things that happen, and of course I'm always going to be aware of how I move, and I'm aware of everybody I move around, no matter what their ethnicity, color, creed, whatever it is. I'm always aware of when I'm moving around. But to say that I'm walking around like we be talking about with the energy that every person that's white, that I'm expecting the worst of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because again, I wouldn't want somebody to look at
And
Jay
expect the worst
and
of you.
expect the worst of me.
Our job is to myth bust.
You know what I'm saying?
Every time you come in contact with someone other, and isn't it really, it's not really just a other.
Right.
Whenever you come into contact with anyone. Outside of the people that know you, your job is to myth bust. Because let's keep it 100. Some of us have profiles against each other.
We do. That's the thing that I want all people to acknowledge, is that we all are prejudiced
In some form or fashion, yeah.
And me and Skeens always talk about the people that we clown and make jokes about. We're equal opportunity joke tellers, and you gonna get these jokes from my mama's on down. Yeah. My wife,
no one,
everybody. Do I make jokes that have a racial undertone? Absolutely. Now, do I have any malice in my heart towards anyone?
Not.
Absolutely not. But you are gonna get these jokes.
Look at our circle.
I mean, our circle is dynamic. It is extremely dynamic.
It is really the United Nations.
It's extremely dynamic. I try to live my life that way. So, so we had a discussion about that, and I think too, we had also had a discussion about kind of, I ask you this, as a whole, are we moved by more of what we see and hear on the news and media, or are we more moved by what we actually know? My argument is because of emotion, we are oftentimes more moved by what we see and hear.
Because most of us are visual people, are visual learners.
That's why the media can control our thinking so much, and that controlling of our
is repetitive.
When we have that intake, and that's why you have to control your intake. You know what I'm saying? For me, for example, Skeens, I can't sit around all day and listen to like a whole bunch of COVID stuff and stuff on the news and these numbers that's coming out. I don't sit around and waste my time listening to that all day long.
It's a lot of subjective messages.
It's
no different than like the music that you hear on the radio.
Right.
You can't tell me everybody want to hear these same 7 songs all day.
Absolutely not.
You can get out the car,
right,
hear one song, the second, and you can work an 8-hour shift. You get right back in the car, you hear the same song in that same spot.
Absolutely.
And you catch yourself sometime, you hear songs like, this song is horrible.
And then later on, you hear yourself
humming it. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, you're like, why is that? And a couple months later,
what it is.
You sing it. It's repetitive and it's suggested messages. Even when they was talking back in the day in terms of the whole war, I forgot what war it was. How they had suggested messages within the music, within the messages of music.
Right. Yep.
Or if you play certain music backwards, it had messages. Yep. So a lot of it is undertones that subconsciously we don't see. You don't realize that you're being programmed.
Absolutely.
A la they say the Manchurian Candidate. Absolutely. So
so
it's a lot of different things that kind of factor in, and before you know it, you like, why do I like that? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm allergic to hot sauce.
Right.
What if I saw enough hot sauce? Hey, I may dab some on my bread.
Dude, it's no different than how they even, like they say, there's colors that they put in stores, certain music that they put on. The way that they position certain things.
They have the color, the psychological color, and you can look at the color wheel, and it tells you why each company chose these different colors, and it shows what emotion it invokes, depending on whether you went with a yellow, or Target with the red, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely, yeah. So I remember when we were stationed in Germany, and we only had that one channel, AFN, but they had a thing on there where they was talking about, don't go grocery shopping
when you're hungry.
Dude. Because you buy stuff.
Hey, speaking of,
And Skeens is a buyer.
Hey,
this boy would try anything.
Yes, and dude, I remember that like it was yesterday. I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I was hungry, and that's when we started becoming a little bit more health conscious.
Yeah.
So I'm hungry. I've been at work all day, and I'm talking to her on the phone. I kept that receipt for like 3 years. I bought $426 worth of stuff and didn't even realize it. I was just buying stuff and like, yo, this basket ain't really that full.
Right.
I mean, it's all right, but
yeah.
$425, real money. I ain't talking no assistance.
No, real dollars.
Yes,
real dollars.
And the woman hit me with a joint. She said $426. I forgot what the chain was, and my mouth kind of. Was shaky, like I was about to cry. But as a man, I had to man up and keep these tears back.
What you think?
And I just handed her my card because really the old me, man, I would have walked out and left that stuff there.
Straight up
I would have left it there and walked off. But knowing that the work that those people have to do in terms of putting their stuff back and everything, I didn't want to do it. Then plus I said, you know what? I did it to myself. I picked up all this stuff. I'm going to pay for it and go. But I told my mom right there, I will never in my life talk to you again when I'm in the grocery store.
Well, speaking of old you, I remember one time we was shopping, and I can't remember. We had got to the counter. We was at the clothing store, and I can't remember that they couldn't take the car or something where we had to go get some cash or something like that. Like, oh, let me run to the ATM real quick. He's like, man, I ain't coming back. I was like,
dude, hey, speaking of while we talking, it was one night when I was in college.
Yeah.
And I was hungry. I forgot. Well, that's when I was working like KB Toys. Shout out to KB Toys. Man, I missed that job. Oh no, we ain't talking about that story.
I know. You're about to tell that.
Hey, we'll talk about that on camera. The greatest story ever, and it's real.
Okay.
But I went to McDonald's that night, and I ordered. I forgot what it was. It was like the McChicken sandwich and something else. It was something small. It wasn't nothing great.
Yeah.
Got the sandwich and fries.
Yeah.
And buddy told me I heard him like $8.37. It was something like almost $10. And I was coming around the corner. It was the one over by the school, by the campus too. Okay. So I'm coming around and it was dark that night.
Yeah.
It was like one car in front of me. He was already up there getting his stuff. So he told me that, and I was sitting there contemplating like, 8:30. Hold on, I got food in the house. Right. 8:37. How hungry am I? I peeled off, and next thing I know, I saw Buddy. He looked out the window. Yeah. Oh no, that brother was cursing, and because I still had the window down because I just placed the order. Yeah. And I realized I started laughing like, dang. Oh, yeah. That brother was mad. Like, I know he
was. He been cooking. It was late. He didn't want to cook that stuff.
He's like, oh no. I was like, yeah.
But I wanted to touch on and everybody's been talking about it. So I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. I am very traditional, but pretty much everybody knows this August Alsina, the Smith family saga. So for those of you that don't know, August Alsina, he's an R&B singer. I think he's like 26, 27?
27 now.
27. He just turned 27. And he was doing an interview with radio personality Angela Yee. And it was a long interview. I did listen to most of it. I didn't just go to that hot button little point. But one of the big things that came out of the interview, press pause, funny story. Dave hit me the other day and was like, some of that stuff August was talking in there, he sounded like Damon Wayans in The Living Color when he was the inmate. Now, I know August has come to this place of realization, I guess. But he was talking, and then, I read like my at least 100 comments. Mm-hmm. And women was like, oh, he's so deep. I cried several times. And August was talking in so many flim-flam, lim-lam circles. And again, I know that brother's on his journey, and, he's come to this place of realization. He had health issues, so I salute him, but it was funny. Anyway, so in the interview...
Just because you don't understand don't mean that he's right.
Again.
Jay-Z line.
But he basically said that, now, I did hear Maul say this on Joe Budden podcast, and I thought about it as well. I wonder if he gave himself an out because he said we had a relationship. He didn't straight up say he smashed or he.
Okay.
He said relationship. But anyway, he says that they had a relationship and that he sat down with Will and got the green light to have a relationship with Jada Pinkett, Will Smith's wife.
Okay. So let's.
Where do you stand?
Well,
Skeens is married. Skeens kids. Are you gonna tell a young buck?
They got that's another insight. Hey, watch Puffy's coming.
Bad boys are coming.
Bad boys are
young
coming.
Black bucks blow your back out. Anyway,
like absolutely. Well, I'm gonna say absolutely not.
Right.
So let's go like you say. Oh, let's say he didn't have sex with her. Right.
Okay.
Don't forget it. I come in, I come in.
Okay.
Woman, she introduced me to her husband.
Right.
He hey brother, you want something to drink? No, hey, comfortable?
Right.
And we had this conversation. Yeah, she told me a little bit about you. Yeah, you seem like a fine little young man.
Right.
Will technically Will almost old enough to be his parents.
No, they are.
Yeah.
I know for sure. Will, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did that conversation go like? Here's the do's and the don'ts. Mm-hmm. You can only insert this much. Hey, young blood. You gotta hit hey, young blood.
Hey there, Doc.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc.
Look here now. Ain't gonna be none of that.
Put your legs down. Don't turn over. Anyway.
But the fact that Will and right or wrong, Jada, and we're going off hearsay, our opinions. Yeah, they're gonna say it didn't happen.
Right.
You got to save face. Mm-hmm. Do I believe that he had that discussion with Will, regardless of what that relationship was? Absolutely, I do. 100%. Because if he didn't have that relationship, if he didn't have that conversation with Will, why were they so freely to be hanging out all the time?
And for the record, Will is 51, Jada's 48.
Okay.
Just to go back to.
Yeah. So him and her 2017 was at the award show together, hugged up.
Right.
And Will played Ali. So that means he learned how to box a little bit.
Right.
He ain't knock him out. Now, I'll say this.
Hollywood though, they be on some other type time.
They do. Now, I will first say this, right? When it comes to a relationship, I stand in the mindset of I can never be mad at the guy for trying to holler at my woman. No. Because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
That's the rule.
I hollered at her.
Right.
If she looks good, hey, there's a reason why people are trying to holler at her.
Right.
Now, more of anything, my anger or my disappointment, however you want to look at it, would be with my mate, because your job is to shut that down. Yes. As soon as somebody tries to approach.
Soon somebody try to shoot.
Now, if you allow that to happen, even if you say let's take out the physicality.
Right.
Even in a intimacy standpoint, that emotional connection still requires some level of you allowing that person into our personal space,
access,
which should never happen. So in all the different them hanging out, even the red table talks and all this stuff before this came out, shows you that they have a very different relationship. There's a lot of intimacy within their relationship.
Right. Now, initially it did make my eyebrow go up, right? But I know that Will and Jada again be on this different level of consciousness that they're on, and how they move. It kills me that
these folks, these are to whom you wish to place your faith.
Right.
I love the Jay-Z line.
Right.
Yep. They have some very, we talk about the Smith, the Pickett Smiths or whatever. They weird. Right. Let's keep it 100. They some weird people.
They move different for sure.
But people looked at goals. Yeah, really? Do you want them goals?
Well, this is what we do. And again, this is another flaw. And again, If you move like that, where
if your goals are to have an open relationship with a young man that he has some psychological issues in the first place.
He did.
So we can say Jada took advantage of a young man. There's no different than you saying he was basically handicapped.
Right.
Because when you start seeing the way he talked about different things, well, he had an infant's like mindset about certain things in the past.
And I was trying to, again, I'm trying to play the mill because, like Skeens said, we don't know, but with the relationship, but dude said basically that he could die happy because he's fully giving himself to her.
Yeah.
Now again, for me, there's no other dude that could talk about my chick like that and not be cool.
But even that speech is cult like.
Right.
Think about it. I mean, that's a reverence of her.
Right.
It's a form of
idolatry. Yeah.
Because that's a speech that a person within the faith would say about Jesus.
Right.
I'll die for my faith.
Right. Yeah. It is wild. You know what I'm saying?
So that's not just a friendship type of love right there. No. There's something different because he's truly edifying her.
Yeah. Well, and again, one of my homegirls I was trying to talk to, but she didn't want to get into it with me. She's like, "Why are you so triggered?" I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to have the." But she was like, "Oh, it's beautiful, the love
until it's you
that he had." And I told her, I said, "You don't even move like that, though. You don't even believe in that."
No,
I know. Like, but it's that love. If you say that you could fully love somebody like that, it's beautiful.
And for some of the same women that do that,
like,
they say that will be mad if they saw they guy hug a female.
Exactly.
And I ain't talking about no real. I'm talking about church hug.
Right.
That 1.001 second of a hug.
Right.
You hug for a whole second.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah.
So like, quit lying.
When people were talking about, and this is the thing, we can't attach our quote unquote couple goals and all that just because we see that people are rich, successful, and affluent. We don't know what turmoil and foolery that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
There is a survey they had. They said 1 out of 5 people have admitted to have an open relationship.
1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. Now, we don't know how many people they polled. So, a lot of times those surveys be misleading. Then they said 50% of men would consider an open relationship.
50%
of men would consider, but that's the man ego. Like, man, on my hat, boy, every night it's a different one.
Well, yeah, but in their favor, not on the other side.
So that's the reason why that 50. But also a third of the women said they would consider it as well.
Well, I think again, as culture evolves or devolves, however you want to say it, but I had a conversation with a group of women several years ago, right? And I'm thinking that they gonna call, "Hey Jay, we want to ask you a question about relationship." I'm like, "So let me come with all my relationship acumen and what's going on? What do you need to know?" But they was like, "Hey, have you and Liz ever thought about bringing somebody?" And I was like,
"Absolutely not.
No, not."
Well, and it's weird that. Okay, let's say this, right?
Okay.
Either or vice versa, male, female. If your mate comes to you and say, "Hey, I want an open relationship," what is your first mind? What's the first thing to come to your mind? If your wife was to come to you and say, "Hey, I want an open relationship," what's the first thing that will come to you?
For me,
yeah.
For Jay, the first thing that's gonna come to me, and again, I've been accused by some of the homies and things of that nature of having a very big ego. But me, I'm gonna think that I'm not enough.
Thank you. So that's where I'm going. So the first thing is, I'm thinking, where do I fall short?
Boom.
So, because you're telling me, so somebody will flip and say, "Well, if you truly love that person, you will allow them to explore in the world of G.I. Joe, be all that you can be."
Right.
you ain't gonna be all you can be with me.
Right.
Now you can be all you can be.
It just ain't
God
gonna be
bless
with
you.
me. Yeah.
No,
It just won't be with me. I
No.
can't move like that.
no. And then you go to a point for the people that will kowtow to that doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not now bullying me into to accepting something that I don't want?
Right.
So just like when some women say, I got pressure into having sex. I didn't really want to have sex, but I said yes because I felt that in that situation, I felt bullied or pressured into. If your wife came to you and said that she wanted an open relationship, you don't really want to have one, but to not lose her, you agree. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing in terms of that traumatic effect in terms of the physical, but there's some resemblance in that regards how people want to say it. Think about it, because you're in an adverse situation when you're agreeing to those terms.
Right. Well,
People can get out of contracts when they say that I was distraught when I signed that contract. This contract,
I was under duress.
Under duress.
Yeah.
And that's really what that is. There's a form of duress because you put me on the spot to basically agree to something that I really, in my heart of heart, don't agree with. I'm basically throwing all my morals and my standards and everything I stand for aside for you.
Right.
To make you happy.
Well,
but do you care to make me happy?
Well, here's the thing, too, and this is purely anecdotal, y'all. This is just my experience. And, again, I know there's countless people that argued it the other side. But in my experience, I've seen a lot of women, and I shared an interview with you a few months back where the women are in these relationships where it's two women and a guy, and you'll find out that they, like you said, under kind of duress and to kind of save the marriage and the relationships, women say, okay, yeah, I want it, but really didn't. That's not really. I think women in general do not want to have another woman in there, and dudes, for sure, in general, do not want another dude in the mix
unless you don't want her there.
You see what I'm saying? Which
but
I'm talking about heterosexual relationships.
Now,
most dudes don't want another dude.
So let's talk about when we say most women don't want. If a woman was, and we're talking from a male perspective in terms of this, and we'll flip it the other way.
Absolutely.
But if your woman came to you and said this, I want an open relationship. I want, whether she wants to invite a male or female.
Right.
My second thought, how long have you been thinking about this?
Right.
Because women move off emotion or ponder different things. So, excuse me, like when they say, some women talk about before they decide to break up with a guy, they broke up with him really months in advance.
It happened a long time
ago. A long time ago, because she
long
got all her receipts, she packed her bags, everything mentally. She's removed herself.
She broke up with you 6 to 8 months ago.
So if
maybe a year.
So if that doctoring is real,
right,
that doctoring should also apply when she comes to you talking about an open relationship. That
right. This didn't just pop up.
Either A, she probably already been doing it.
Right. And
she just want to see if you cool with it, being part of it. Yeah. Hey, this a group, do a team group hug.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or there's somebody, whether it has already physically, come to pass, or something that she's been working on,
right?
Or somebody's been working on her that she's becoming somewhat compliant with.
Now let's take it a step forward. Now, again, there'll be those that disagree and say, hey, you just got an old school opinion of relationships and how they should go, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think overall, and again, we're talking about, let's take it to the overarching conversation that we always have about legacy, family building. Can we build successful families with this type of...
If we are going to go old school...
Right.
Relationships or marriages have always been a business agreement.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those different marriages was when you had kings and queens of different location. You married my daughter. It was all arranged marriages.
Arranged.
It wasn't love. So we're gonna talk about old school.
Right.
That wasn't love. These were they grew to love each other, or they grew to compromise and deal with each other. However, and even back then, because they didn't love each other, a lot of them had it was open relationships back there then.
That is a very fine line between love and nausea.
Yeah, so even when you come stateside, some families that had 15, 20 kids, the family would marry their daughter off to a man for land or for animals or whatever. So it's always been a barter agreement for many years, and that's before the court system came in. Right. And speaking of, when they talking about reaching in your pocket, shout out to Dr. Dre.
Woo!
My boy.
Plum, 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 plum. That she gonna be
Steel.
Walking to the bank.
That new Chronic album will be coming out soon. You got to make that money. Bike.
Man, but yeah, 20-something, 25, something like
24 years in. Yeah. Oh, she finna get him.
Anyway,
after that Beats money, she's like, hey, man. He probably working on a second pair of Beats.
Man. Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of those different relationships were business transactions. Mm-hmm. It's until now that marriage has been remixed into saying, hey, it's about love. Mm-hmm. As we stand before God to death do us part. That has been totally, the stands have been different. But back then, yeah, it was all about what can you do for me? What can I do for you? How can we share land? How can we have rulership and lineage? So even that was a form of legacy, because those business transactions made sure that your legacy lived on in a stance of power,
right? Or
to be just taken care of.
And let me just go back to the foolishness again. There's no way that I'm in the game. Right? I'm in the game with my wife. I'm not going to tag in a younger, better, fresher version of me. Say, hey, young fella, go ahead and.
Yeah. You in there, you watching the playoff, and next thing you hearing carnage. You're like, yo, I ain't never heard that.
I ain't never heard you like
that. You can't even enjoy the game.
Take it easy on her.
And then don't let your team lose too. Oh, somebody got to fight me.
So for just that part of, again, I admit my ego. Now, I wouldn't do it.
I couldn't see myself doing it. Now, I guess if it was to happen, either way, that would have to be one of those conversations that you would have at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You can't remix our relationship and say you want to throw some extra in here.
Right.
Hey, I like the way the soup tastes.
Right.
I don't want nothing extra added into it.
Right.
Now, if you come in out of the gate like some people, speaking of like that Ashley Madison, that's a whole different thing. When they was talking about the different married people that was cheating. I think when they got, you remember they got their site got hacked.
Yeah.
It was 32 million married people on that site. 32 million.
Yep. Getting jammed up,
bro. That's like, I mean, you think Dallas has like 5 million. San Antonio have a couple mil. That 32 probably was the as many people as in the state of Texas.
Right.
It's about what's the amount of people that's in California.
Right.
And if we go to smaller states,
right,
that 32 mil would probably eat up most of the Midwest of people, the married people that's on that site. Mm-hmm. So it tells you something. There's something to it, and a lot of it is conversation.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
So a lot of people are, as we talk about, they lied to their mate about who they was at the beginning. Yep. Because I know people, we all evolve and change, and we're ever changing. But when you're requesting to make this a tag team match,
so
there was something within you before it got here.
Here we go. So many people will say that needing to bring somebody else into the relationship isn't a sign of a weak relationship, but my argument is that it absolutely is.
There's some studies that show that people in open relationship claim, and they say that they're just as happy as people that's monogamous relationships,
right?
Because they talk about the experiences and different things, and the freeness to be who they really are, and all this that. It's what is called new relationship energy. This is a real thing.
Okay.
NRE.
Okay.
New relationship energy.
Okay.
It's basically like it's an adrenaline rush. It's the chase. It's like a man when you chasing after women.
It's the honeymoon phase.
It's the chase.
It's the honeymoon
Yeah.
phase. It's the beginning of
But a lot of times those different relationships only last 6 months to 2 years. Because once that new car smell wears off, they own to something extra.
Wow.
So that lets you know that there's nothing real within it. That's just heat. That's lust. Mm-hmm. That's a lusty activity. Mm-hmm. Unless you're saying you're gonna be a polygamist, which is illegal. Now, a polygamy lifestyle is not for me. But if they consider adults, I don't think it should be illegal. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Have at it. If y'all are legal adults and y'all are agreeing and not under duress to have that kind of lifestyle, that's your thing. Mm-hmm. God bless you. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but we can agree to disagree, and I'm not going to treat you any different.
Right. Yep.
If that's what you want, that's the way you want to rock.
Yep.
But like we was talking about these different open relationships, I could see if there was a perfect scenario, and it's really not a perfect scenario. We're talking about from an interim level. Mm-hmm. That would have to be like you on a dating site. I can't think of none of them off the top of my head. Right. I don't know.
Plenty of Fish.
It's one of the dating sites. Let's go with that one.
Yeah,
Plenty of Fish. If Match Match even better. Yeah. If they say, hey, your status say open relationship, or you're looking for an open relationship. Now, if you came out the wood from the jump and say, hey, I want an open relationship, and she responds knowing that she see that you want an open relationship, and you all from the session of your relationship, starts open, you probably have you most likely will have a better chance of surviving because you both came in the game wanting to be open and free.
Right. Contrast
to somebody want to redo or reconstruct the relationship.
Talk about restructure the deal.
Yeah, like this. You're not Patrick Mahomes. the deal is the deal.
Right.
But I can see those relationships having more staying power because let's say you come out of the gate. I am who I am, like Popeye. I am who I am.
Right.
I don't change. Mm-hmm. Now those relationships will have a better situation, but like I said, when you're with someone, bro, if I'm married, right, and I was to ask my wife, yo, I want an open relationship. Mm-hmm. How sound can I sleep at night?
Hustlers don't sleep. We rest one eye up.
Hey, like on Ren and Stimpy, your eyes ring.
Well, here's the other thing, Skeens. I know most people try to, that are proponents of it, try to paint it just this beautiful picture of it.
Yeah.
But I think, and again, I don't know, but I think that usually there's going to be one person in the because, people, it's a mutual thing that we did. I mean, we both agree. I think it's usually going to be driven by one person, by one side of the relationship, usually. And in the case with Will, I've heard that, again, that it was more Jada that likes these alternative ways of moving like that. And I've had women that, again, the husband wanted to move that way. I have a homeboy where his chick wanted to move a certain way. So I've seen where it's really in that, I can't remember what show that was, but this lady, the husband was cheating on her. And then I want to stay with him. I'm trying to save my family. So since he won't stop cheating, I'm going to agree to bring this other woman in.
She's like, oh, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, so as we talk about, people will try to tell you, hey, if you love that person, you allow them to be who they really are.
Right.
But on the flip side, how much if that person really loves me, are you not able to suppress those different urges because that's part of love?
Well, again, we talk about this all the time when about choices. My natural inclination as a man is to
holler at every woman I see.
Bang, 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 procreate.
Yeah.
But I have to, like you said, suppress and go.
There's no different when you suppress when somebody say something stupid, you want to go off on them.
It's no different than that. It's no different than that. So this idea,
there's no Asperger effect.
The whole idea of, you know, and we see that it becomes more and more prevalent about my feel. How do I feel? I'm so wrapped up in my feelings and emotions all the time that I'm not making sound, rational decisions.
What's the substance that comes along with those feelings? Because feelings change.
It's fleeting.
Yes. So what substance come along with it? So, like for example, right? Let's say that you did interact. You changed it. You switched it up, and now you're in a open relationship. Could you ever go back to a regular relationship with that person?